Guess who's back?
Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do our division previews, our division picks, even our Super Bowl pick, the 7 playoff teams, the expanded playoffs. But before we get into that, please subscribe to the channel if you like NFL content, if you like Dallas Cowboys content. That is what we produce, and we will have a lot coming up, especially with the NFL season kicking off. I think we could both say at certain points it didn't look very likely, but we were both very glad that's going to happen. So let's get right into it. We're going to start in the AFC North. So quickly, I mean, this one's easy for me. The division winner is the Ravens. We talked a little bit about them in previous videos. I think they're in for some regression, but I think they have so much talent on the offense and defensive side and ingenuity. They'll still win that division pretty handily.
Don't try to fix what's not broken, and everybody will kind of criticize last year what happened when they got into the playoffs, but what got them there was exactly what they do best, and I think they'll just replicate that and have it, not just because also you might say that trying to replicate something over and over again one might get old, but they're just so good at what they do.
And I have another playoff team coming out of this division, but we'll go through each winner and then we'll say our 7 at the very end. So AFC South, for me, it's the Texans. Tried and true, even though, Bill O'Brien, it's guaranteed he's going to make some head-scratching choices and the team's going to underperform it seems like almost every year. But I believe in Deshaun Watson. He's just a born winner. And I believe this is probably one of the weaker divisions in the AFC. And they still have some really good defensive talent, veteran talent. And I think they'll get by with enough from Watson on the offensive end.
I really feel like the Titans will probably take this division just because Watson just lost Hopkins. Cooks is already hurt. I feel like the Titans have a little bit more established weapons on the outside now. A.J. Brown heading into his second year. I expect a huge year. Picking up the addition of Clowney just almost a week ago now, just a couple of days ago. And the fact that they have the better coach. So I feel like the Titans come out of this division.
Okay, our first disagreement here, but I do have a second team coming out of this division. We'll get into that. May or may not be the same one. AFC West, another easy one. Chiefs. And I really don't feel like they have any competition, especially with some recent developments. Von Miller's going to be out for, at a minimum, 3 months. It looks like Bradley Chubb from the Broncos will also not be there for the start of the season. And they were kind of the dark horse team that people were kind of saying, oh, they could be that flashy, with all the picks that they have on offense. But the Chiefs, they're, as far as consistency goes, I believe they're number 1 with players coming back, both on the offensive and defensive end. And while they're known for obviously the flash and flare of the offense with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, now Clyde Edwards-Helaire, on defense, they really, really were an ascending team on that side of the ball, and it carried them all the way into the Super Bowl. They played really well there. So I really, really like the Chiefs, and I think this is an easy division for them to take.
Yeah, you'll look and see the other teams in the division, quarterback, question mark, quarterback, question mark, quarterback, question mark, and that's really just what does it.
Yep. AFC East, the final on the AFC. I got the Bills winning this one, and I think that's kind of the chalky pick, but I think it's going to be a lot closer, I will say, than people are saying. I'm not really sold on Josh Allen. He's got a strong arm, but he's very inaccurate. And on the offensive side of the ball, Stephon Diggs, I really, really like Stephon Diggs, the player, but his forte is really his route running. Is Josh Allen going to be able to hit him in between the numbers every time? I don't know. Cole Beasley was a really good guy for them in spots for them last year, but that's because his route running and the way that he plays in the offense is he just finds the open hole. It's hard to miss him. And their running game's kind of a question there. But on the defensive end, with Sean McDermott at head coach, they've really invested a lot into that defense. Tre'Davious White, one of the top corners in the NFL. They just drafted Ed Oliver last year. I really like what they have on the defensive side. And I believe that, just like last year, I think that's what is going to propel them into winning this division. But it will be very close.
Yes, I totally agree. The Bills have probably one of the most cohesive back ends in the NFL with Tre'Davious and their safeties and guys like that. One of the best secondaries in the NFL. Best defenses. The only thing is just Allen, really, his inconsistency. If he can just be a little bit more consistent, I really see the Bills taking the next step and making the playoffs. Y'all will say, never count out the Patriots. They have Cam. I feel like, though, with Cam, playing Buffalo twice is going to be like playing Denver twice in the Super Bowl. They pretty much the same style of, as far as the ability of what the Bills are able to do on defense. Really tight window throws. The Patriots don't have that many weapons, just like they didn't in Carolina that year. And I think it's really just going to be frustrating games when they come up against them. But the difference will have to be the quarterback play. And I think Josh does enough outside of his headaches that he gives you to go ahead and push them forward.
All right, so I'm going to list off my 7, and this is going to be in the order that I believe that they're going to finish. I'm going to go Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, Bills as obviously division winners, and then the remaining 3 teams, because there's going to be 7 teams from each division this year. I got the Steelers, and then the final 2, I'm going to go Colts and Pats. So I don't have the Titans make it in this offense. I said in our previous video for the AFC South, I think they're in for regression. I don't really believe in Ryan Tannehill. He's got to show it to me again. It was a very small sample size. Derrick Henry, I don't know if I also believe in an offense that is entirely powered by the run game. And then their weapons outside of a guy like A.J. Brown, Corey Davis has never really panned out. Jonnu Smith, the tight end, he's in a contract here, but he's never really broken out. Really, their bread and butter is going to be Derrick Henry. Is that going to be enough to get them by week in and week out? I don't know. Yes, they have a good defense. They just added Clowney, but I feel like the Colts are going to be that sleeper team that they've been kind of on an ascension defensively, and offensively they just needed a quarterback to get them over the hump since Andrew Luck's I guess, early retirement. I think Phillip Rivers has just enough left in the tank, and they have an underrated wide receiver core. T.Y. Hilton, if he stays healthy, I think is really, really great. Michael Pittman Jr. still good. Paris Campbell's coming back there. Paris Hilton. I got it mixed up with T.Y. Hilton, but hey,
turned out when you put them together.
Put them together to health-wise, and they'll equal one receiver. But I really like the Colts because of their rushing attack. Their offensive line is great. Of course, everybody knows Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, the 2nd-round pick. I mean, if he gets the starting role, that dude's going to be a monster, a beast. I think we both agree on that. And then the Pats, like RJ said, look, I'm never going to count out Tom Brady, which we'll get into. I'm never going to count out Bill Belichick until he proves me otherwise. They still have enough on defense. I mean, they've gotten by with a lot less. And then on offense, just like RJ said, in 2015, Cam Newton led the number 1 offense, the 15-1 Panther team, with less than he has right now on this Patriots team, I feel. So I'm into Cam Newton. If he stays healthy, the last that we saw of him when he was healthy, he was improving as a passer. He still has his rushing ability. I think he could put it all together, and they'll still be, a 10-6 type team and make it into the playoffs. Maybe 9-7 and make it into the playoffs. So those are my 7. RJ, who are your 7?
I agree with everything except I feel like Tennessee would take the division, and I feel like Houston would be the runner-up next. The Colts, it just depends on Rivers. It really depends on Rivers. I like that pick, but that's just the one thing that I'm hesitant on. And after that, it'd be the same. It'd be New England and Pittsburgh. And I would say, though, I think Cleveland is going to compete in every single game. And really, I would see Cleveland getting a playoff spot if Ben's not able to stay healthy.
Yes, I think it's very dependent. I'm projecting things as Roethlisberger plays the full season.
Yeah.
The Browns have a lot of talent. I mean, we saw last year once they started getting this influx of talent, people were already picking them to win the Super Bowl.
Coaching matters.
Yeah, coaching matters. Stefanski in his first year, I don't know. I'm very hesitant to pick any team that has a first-year head coach. So that's kind of why I'm not on their train yet, but I think they have the pieces there, so it is very possible in that division, especially with a lot of health questions. Let's get into the NFC. Starting with the NFC North, the division winner, I'm going to go kind of against the trend of what I said in the previous video. I'm still going to pick the Packers here. Aaron Rodgers, if he's healthy, I still think is the best quarterback in this division. The advanced metrics don't really favor him, but last year they were more of a running team. They've doubled down on that. And, Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in the NFL. And even last year, whenever they didn't have a true number 2, I think this year they have Alan Lazard, who could be more of a true 2. They were still able to get by. And defensively, they did spend a lot on the defense last year, and those guys are just going to get better going into this year. And I think every other team in this division has giant question marks. So I feel like the Packers have the most continuity. I'm going to stick with them in the NFC North.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think this is going to be the worst division out of the NFC. I think if the Packers do win the division, it won't be what they're going to be in 10-6.
Yeah.
9-7, 10-6, 9-7 record.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it that way, but now looking at the other teams, I completely and totally agree with that. The NFC South, this one's another one that's easy for me. The Saints, Drew Brees coming back. I mean, we've been saying like the last ride, whatever. We don't know when that's going to be, but another team with a major continuity, a lot of pieces coming back. Obviously, have had some heartbreaks in the playoffs the past 3 years. Great on the defensive side of the ball. All the weapons you really want, plus added Emmanuel Sanders for a true number 2 receiver, which they haven't had in a very long time on the offensive side of the ball. And I feel like Drew Brees is a guy, he's very quiet in the way he does. Of course, he got a lot of backlash with his comments, his social commentary this offseason, but he's also gotten a lot of indirect commentary about him with all the Tom Brady stuff. Tom Brady coming to the division. Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that. I feel like Drew Brees is hearing that, and I think that he wants to go out and just completely take over this division, take over the league, really. So I got the Saints winning this one.
I got Atlanta winning, taking the division. I think Ryan has a really bounce back year. You know, everybody's like, who has the best wide receiver core in this division? You know, the Saints picked up Sanders in the offseason. Tampa has Evans and Godwin. Evans is already dealing with an injury. Kind of seems to haggle him over his career a little bit every now and then. I expect Calvin Ridley to have a breakout year. Julio, they bring in Gurley in. They're expecting to get him 15, 25 touches a game. They finished very, very, very strong last year. You know, they had a bunch of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I expect, guys like Keanu O'Neal and hopefully their rookie cornerback AJ Terrell to be able to step up. And I think main thing is I think Matt Ryan ends up being the best quarterback out of this division coming into this year.
This is going to be just like in years past. I think this is going to be a shootout division.
Yeah.
Especially if you got a team like the Falcons competing. I mean, I don't expect their defense to improve that much, maybe health-wise, but I don't think it's going to be an elite unit. So there are going to be some high-scoring games on these divisional matchups. Next division, the NFC West. I got the Seahawks winning this one. Very similar to the Texans, where they're not flashy and they kind of just grind you out, but every year you can kind of count on them to make it. Russell Wilson is a top. I would say he's the second best player in the NFL, in my opinion. One of the most accurate passers, and whenever he hasn't ever been unleashed on this team yet. I mean, if he has a little more opportunities passing the ball, this team could go to a whole nother level. And defensively, Pete Carroll, that's always been his forte. They got by these last few years without the Legion of Boo. I think they'll be able to do it again. And other teams in this division are in for some regression, I feel. So I got the Seahawks winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Their net points was 7 though, so they were in a lot of close games last year, and it's going to be hard to do that again. But I feel like if they're smart from the beginning, they go ahead and let Russell be Russell from the beginning of the games. Then I feel like they'll go ahead and they'll rock this division. San Francisco, we'll get into that in a minute, but man, it's just like you saw last year in the Super Bowl. Like they're dropping like flies at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, I guess you could run the ball 40 times a game, but.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into my thoughts on some of these other teams, but and that kind of ties into the 49ers. But the next division, the NFC East, no homerism. I feel like the Cowboys are the best team in this division, health-wise, talent-wise. You can argue coaching-wise, but I won't go that far yet. They have the better quarterback. They have the better running game. They have the better O-line. They have the better receiving core. Everything on offense, I feel like they have better. Defensively, they're going to have a really good pass rush. Their questions are going to be on the back end. So I feel like the Cowboys, this will be close, just like it is every year with the Eagles. But I got them winning this one. It's all going to be dependent on shootout. So I feel like they're going to be I don't think the secondary is going to live up to any kind of expectation that we think. I think that they're going to give up big plays, and we're going to be frustrated by it, but that's just going to be the live or die. And then at the very end, maybe you get a critical sack or a strip or a fumble, and then that's what wins you the game. Or they had the worst special teams in the NFL last year. Maybe you have better field position and you score a lot more points and you're in better position, a lot better position than last year. And like we said in previous videos, as far as the win-loss probability type thing, I mean, they're like one of the top teams as far as, you know, getting back into the win column and having double-digit victory. So I got the Cowboys winning this one.
Yeah, they were a -3 on their expected wins. The fact that we put so much emphasis into the special teams now, 5 different coaches that have been head coaches at points in time, just all that experience, and I feel like it'll be a matter of creating turnovers, adapting in game to scenarios as the game goes on, and I feel like hopefully with this coaching staff having that experience, that'll be one of the biggest things that propels them forward. And I think a lot last year with the Chiefs, you got to see growth and some continuity grow on the back end as the season goes on. And I feel like if, you know, I wouldn't put it past a guy like Jerry's, if you really don't see that like week 1 immediately, to go ahead and pull in the trigger.
On Earl,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Even if they do win.
Until he is signed with another team or he announces his retirement, this story is going to be continuous. I mean, we haven't gone this far since 2017 for it not to be continuing the story until he's a Cowboy retired or with another team. So, RJ, do you want to list off your 7 first, and then I'll go on with my 7?
Yeah, obviously I got Dallas, picked Green Bay, Seattle, and then I got Atlanta, and then we're gonna go with San Francisco, 5, and the other 2 teams I got out of the NFC South, Saints and Tampa.
So no Eagles for you.
No Eagles for me. No, man. I really think. Did I hear something about Lane Johnson today or no?
I didn't hear anything about Lane.
Well, I just think, those 2 offensive line injuries are it's pretty critical. You already got Carson kind of dealing with an injury. They really don't have anybody in their secondary. I feel like losing
Jalen Reagor, their first-round pick's already injured. Miles Sanders, he's in practice, but he's kind of day-to-day.
I feel like a guy that really, as far as role and responsibility, you maybe probably saw a drop-off as far as his ability, but role and responsibility is a huge thing, and I feel like Malcolm was a huge deal with that, keeping what was, I guess, cracked on the defense kind of glued together a little bit, because they really didn't have anybody like back there. I feel like he did a good job of maybe covering up some holes and stuff, and they don't have that. You know, their defensive line still, they still got Cox, they still got the kid out of Tennessee,
Derek Barnett. They added Javon Hargrave, but he's also already dealing with an injury, probably not going to play week 1.
Our next video isn't expecting. It'll just be what to expect week 1 from the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I promise you, Philadelphia's O-line is. You know, I don't wish injury on any player, but it wouldn't surprise me if Philadelphia has a really tough time with those guys up front in Washington this week.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of first-round talent across the board.
And when you're playing guys on the interior that really just...
Yeah, quickly. I mean, they're going to be depending on Jason Peters, who they didn't want to play left tackle this year, to play left tackle and face guys like, you know, Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen.
Yeah,
I mean, there's going to be a lot coming off the end.
And if I can recall real quick, just to get off topic. You know, Washington hasn't always had their front guy, their first round guys that they've drafted previously all healthy together at some points, and I think coming into this season they're all healthy together.
Well, we'll see. But as far as my 7 teams and the seeding goes, I got the Saints 1, Cowboys, Seahawks, Packers as division winners, and then I got the Bucks, the 49ers, and then the Eagles. As far as regression goes, I don't think the 49ers can replicate the rushing success that they had last year. I mean, it was historic, but I feel like they still have enough on defense. They have a lot of talent on defense, young talent on defense. And then they have, you know, one of the most creative head coaches I mean, Kyle Shanahan on the offensive side that is going to be able to put all the pieces together and get them where they need to be. And then the Bucks, they have a lot of. They were an ascending team defensively last year. One of the best defenses. Todd Bowles controls that side. Bruce Arians, one of my favorite head coaches in the NFL. I think Tom Brady has enough juice in the tank and definitely has enough offensive weapons on that side to get into the playoffs. And then finally the Eagles. I have question marks for them as far as health goes, but until they prove me otherwise, they're another team that they've been in the playoffs. I mean, multiple years in a row, so I'm not going to count them out until they prove me otherwise. Those are my 7.
You would have Dallas and Philadelphia facing off in the first round.
And that you couldn't ask for more. Now let's get into the final part of this video. We picked our playoff teams. This is where you get to call us stupid and go back and watch this later on if we're completely off. But Super Bowl picks. So I don't have scores or anything. I just got the matchup and I got who I think is going to win. I got the New Orleans Saints facing the Kansas City Chiefs. Continuity, especially in a season with no training camp and anything, I'm buying big into that. And while I think the Chiefs are probably the better team, I'm going to pick the Saints to win this one. Drew Brees has got to do it at some point. I mean, if I were to pick any kind of MVP pick other than Dak Prescott, which I've already said, or RJ said previously, and I agree with, it would be Drew Brees. I just feel like, when is it going to finally all come together? Maybe you never will again. You already won one, but I think this is the last real shot. And with all the news of Tom Brady and everything that he's been hearing, I think it's going to be enough to get him over the hump. And then Kansas City, I mean, they have everything there. Are they going to regress with the Super Bowl slump? For some teams, it's possible, but they have the best player in the NFL, and I think he gets them there. But like I said before, I got the Saints winning the Super Bowl 55. RJ, who is your pick?
And I really don't want to pick anybody out of the NFC. I really just like going with the conference championship game, and I'll go with Dallas and Atlanta.
For the NFC?
Yeah, for the NFC. Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, I just.
Come on, you gotta make a pick.
I have.
Even if it is a homer pick, you gotta make a pick.
Yeah, Dallas, man, Dallas. Just
to win the Super Bowl.
To win? No, to go to the Super Bowl.
To go to the Super Bowl. And who do you got in the AFC going?
Dude, the Chiefs.
Okay, and so then you would have Dallas and the Chiefs with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. Dude.
We all want to say it. Yeah. I mean, like, we've made previous videos before, and we picked the Cowboys and stuff. Look, I think the Cowboys, they have a good shot, but man, with the first-year head coach, it's tough.
Yeah,
I can't pick a first-year.
What I will say, what they have going for them is, guys, there wasn't a good team in the NFC last year besides San Francisco. There wasn't a good team. As far as, when I say team, I mean collectively, all together. San Francisco was the best team.
Yeah.
New Orleans had glaring holes. They didn't have a wide receiver too. They had,
which they addressed.
Which they did address though.
And I think a really good wide receiver team.
The only thing though is I see a big regression from. You've already seen it, but they do things around that offense to mask that part. And they know it too. Drew Brees knows it too. Arm strength. Very, very limited arm strength now. I feel like Matt Ryan's going to have the best year as a quarterback out of that NFC South division. Firepower, the continuity with a returning head coach like Dan Quinn, and having that on the defensive side of the ball. You know, a lot of teams would like to not have a defensive-minded coach, but Atlanta's a type where when you have a veteran quarterback like Matt Ryan, pretty much just doing his own thing out there. And yeah, I really think what was when you look at Dallas, if you look at Seattle, their point differential was 7. Like, throughout the year, there's so many close games, and Dallas addressed everything from coaching staff as far as what you need to take you over the top when it comes to the points and times and games when there was critical points where you needed to make the right decision and do the right thing, and coaching matters, and they addressed all that through the coaching staff this past year. Hopefully addressing the special teams, getting experience on your coaching staff with 5 different guys who've been head coaches. A guy like Mike Nolan, who really actually wanted to draft Van Der Esch when he was with the Saints. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I feel like Dallas put the pieces together right now at the time, like kind of Kansas City has, like Kansas City did. They had CD, Amari, Gallup, and Jarwin. I mean, people are expecting big things out of Jarwin, and you kind of.
I agree with you with everything you say on the offense and the special teams, but the defense has got to show it to me. Last year they couldn't stop the run. Gerald McCoy already got injured. They're going to have a pass rush. I mean, that's undeniable. They're going to have a pass rush. But their secondary already showing injuries. It's going to have to be, really, I think if they want to get over, they're going to have to sign Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have
and we're going to have a big year from Diggs.
They're going to have some kind of playmaker in the back end because right now they don't have it. They didn't have it last year, even with a guy like Byron Jones. He wasn't a playmaker. He was just a solid, really, really good corner on the outside who took away part of the field, but he wasn't a playmaker. They're going to have to be a defense that really coalesces. I think, like I said about the Cowboys before, I think that they're going to disappoint us on defense. They're going to give up a lot of big plays. They're going to break more than bend. But it really is all dependent on the offense, scoring points and getting out in front and having good field position. Can they do that consistently every week? Yeah, I think they can in the regular season, but whenever it gets to the playoffs, it's a whole completely different game. I believe in Coach McCarthy or Mike McCarthy, but in the first year of implementing everything that he wants to, I don't know if I buy into it immediately.
I like what he said earlier. He said really in the beginning of the season, you really lose games that you beat yourself in. What did he say?
Yeah, he said early in the season, teams tend to lose games rather than get beat. Let's not beat ourselves, which is very true. I mean, there's a lot of close scoring games in the first week.
A big thing in Dallas for the past years when it comes to the playoff games and games where it's like, you feel the tension is starting off slow.
Yeah.
Starting off slow all the freaking time. And McCarthy knows that. And I feel
he's beat them a couple of times from
slow starts. So he knows that, and with everything, with the game evolving and changing, and especially using all your resources, I feel like maybe, hopefully, they can do a lot of what San Francisco and Baltimore did last year.
All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. We both got the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl. I got the Saints winning. RJ's got the Cowboys winning. Let us know what your picks are for each division and who you think is going to make it to the Super Bowl, who's going to win it. Leave a comment down below, like the channel. If you like NFL content, if you like Dallas Cowboys content, that is what we produce. Please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Yo, I ain't here for the